Have you ever wondered why people take ice baths?
Come on.
Going into cold water will make your dopamine and adrenaline levels spike up. This increases mood, focus, energy levels, and more. In fact, research has shown that 11 minutes of ice bathing a week can increase dopamine levels by 200 to 300%. That's like taking an antidepressant without any of the side effects. Regular cold exposure is also extremely good for reducing inflammation, boosting our immune systems, and potentially even prolonging our lives.
Is nothing on the surface of the earth that will remove calories from your body or burn fat at the rate that getting in cold water will. If you actually read the story about Michael Phelps when he actually went to Beijing to compete in the Olympics, his caloric intake went to 10,000 calories a day. But why did it go to 10,000 calories a day? Not because his training regimen changed, because the pool he was in was 4 degrees colder than the pool he was used to training in. Water is 29 times more thermogenic than air, meaning water removes heat at 29 times the rate of air. When we get into cold water, 4 major things happen. Number 1, our liver panics, and it floods the bloodstream with something called a cold shock protein. These are miracle proteins. These proteins will scour the body of free radical oxidation. They will quadruple the rate of protein synthesis, muscle repair. The second thing that happens is you have a major peripheral vasospasm. It drives oxygen into the core, forces oxygen into the brain. What other time of our life does this happen? Only in delta wave sleep. The third thing that happens is you have this vasospasm, you drive oxygen into the core, but now heat is flooding out of your body. There is no amount of HIIT cardio, there's no amount of intense exercise, weight training, nothing even becomes remotely close to the amount of fatty acid metabolism, brown fat activation that you can get from getting in cold water.
So there's a scientist out of Scandinavia, her name is Dr. Susanna Soberg, published this really amazing paper. They figured out the thresholds for how much deliberate cold exposure you need and how much sauna for it to really start having beneficial effects. If you put people into deliberate cold up to the neck for 11 minutes total per week, so not one session, they observe legitimate increases in brown fat. People become more comfortable at cold temperatures. You get this 2.5x increase in dopamine that lasts many hours. Norepinephrine, epinephrine, and dopamine are called the catecholamines, all increase substantially. But then with sauna, it's really interesting. It seems like the threshold total for the week, believe it or not, 57 minutes per week.
Heat shock proteins are important for cell communication, repair damaged cells. Heat prevents nerve damaging diseases.
If you really want to get the maximum metabolic effect, and you're doing heat and cold, end with cold.
Yeah.
Because then you have to warm yourself back up. So there's
Should you ice bath before or after your workout? This is a highly debated and complex topic, but let's see what the science has to say. It actually comes down to just one thing. If your goal is to build size, strength, or endurance of your muscles, then studies show that you should either ice bath 20 minutes before a workout or wait at least 4 hours after your workout. Dr. Andrew Huberman recommends at least 6 to 8 hours afterwards. If you do ice bath within 4 hours after your workout, you will decrease your muscle size, strength, and endurance gains that you would have made during the workout. However, if you just want to feel good after your workout and reduce the symptoms of soreness and inflammation, then it's fine to go for an ice bath. Just know that it will have an effect on your exercise gains. It's no doubt that ice baths have tremendous benefits like fat loss, boosting your immune system, and increasing mental resiliency, but it's important to take into account what your health and fitness goals are to determine when you should utilize the ice bath.
When you get into cold water, there are 2 factors that will dictate whether or not you shiver. 2. One is how cold it is. So how cold should it be? And look, if you get into water that's very, very cold, it can actually shock your heart. It can actually give you a heart attack if it's truly, truly ice cold and you're not adapted to that. Just cold enough to be uncomfortable is a good place to start. So for some of you, that's going to be 60 degrees. For some of you, that's going to be 55 degrees. For some of you, it's going to be high 30s, right? Depends on how cold adapted you are, and people vary in terms of how well they tolerate the cold. So what you need to do is find a temperature that you can get into 1 to 5, probably 1 to 3 times a week if you really want this to accelerate fat loss. And you want to get in until you just start to shiver, and then you want to get out and not dry off. Wait anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes and then get back into the cold.
I sometimes enjoy seeing these social media posts where people will get into the ice bath. They'll look really stoic, like they're really tough. But actually, that's the wimpy way to go through it. When you get into cold water, if you stay very still, you develop a thermal sheath around you that you're warming yourself. The really bold way is to get in and continue to sift your arms and legs, and it ends up feeling miserably colder.
And then
there's no sheath.
because you're
just
breaking up
constantly exposed.
that thermal layer. And then when you get out, you'll notice a lot of people huddle, or they'll grab the towel. In general, that's me. I'll get into the sauna. But if you really want to stimulate the big increases in metabolism, you stand out there and you dry off with arms extended in open air. And as that water evaporates off you, it is really cold, but your body is forced to activate a number of the warming programs related to metabolism.